Hapijs Elapsed plugin. Add Elapsed feature. Welcome to this CodeWins video tutorial. My name is Jeff Barczewski, and I will be your host for this program. In this tutorial, I will demonstrate how to create a test for our elapsed time feature of this Hapijs plugin. We will review the relevant Hapi documentation so you will know where to find details you need for calling the Hapi API specifically regarding plugins, server extensions which hook into the request lifecycle, and also how to listen for log events. We will finish off this tutorial by implementing our elapsed time feature. So in my Mocha file, we're going to continue adding to the test. Let's jump over to the reference documentation so we can see how to implement a plugin. If we scroll up to the pack section and we go into the properties, we can see there's an events object in pack. This is what we can listen to listen for our log event that we will fire from our new Hapi plugin. And if you go to server, you can see that pack is actually a property of server. That's how we can get access to it. So implementing our test, type server.pack.events on, and we're going to listen for the log event. This gives us an event and a tags object. Jumping back over to the plugin.log portion of the Hapi reference, we can see the details of what an event has. We can see this information is the same as server.log, and there's a link to server.log where we can see additional information. The tags object that is provided is actually an object with all of the different tags represented as keys with a value of true. So it makes it very easy to test for a tag. So we can basically just do if tags.elapsed, and if our log event had an elapsed tag, then that will be true now. So we can simply add that if statement to check for our tags that are going to have elapsed tag. I'm going to use the chai expect to say expect.data.millisecond. I'm going to say that the property msec is going to be set, and I want it to be above 0. So I want it to be a number that's going to be above 0. And if that's true, then I'm going to go ahead and call done. If it was going to fail, then it would throw an exception and this test would fail. Finally, we need to actually, we've created the server and registered the plugin, but we need to actually call a URL. We can do that with server.inject. That basically directly calls into the Hapi system without even needing to start up a server. You can use this to do all types of testing with Hapi. Once we save that, the Mocha runner runs and it shows that test is timing out. So we have not implemented the functionality that actually fires the event. So now we can go back over to our implementation and actually implement that. So using the plugin variable that was provided in the register, let's jump over the reference and see what this plugin.ext is how we add an extension point. And we go through to server.ext to see the details. Basically, this allows us to hook into Hapi at different points during the request lifecycle. Specifically, I want to hook in at the onRequest extension point. This is called at the very beginning, and I can basically use that to set up a benchmark timer so that I can basically track how long it takes from the beginning of the request to after the response is completed. So hooking into an extension for onRequest. Basically pass it a function that receives a request and a next callback. So I want to store a benchmark value on the request object somewhere. So I'm going to go over to the request documentation and look where I can store something. And we can see this property called plugins, which is for plugin specific state. For each plugin, plugin can access the state there. So that's the perfect place for us to put our state that we want for this plugin. So my plugin is a Happy Elapsed, so I'm going to use the Elapsed property in plugins. And I'm going to create a bench property. And this is going to be a new Hoke bench object, which basically is like a timer that is nice for recording durations. And I need to go up to the top and require Hoke because I don't have it yet. As I run my test, I see that now I have a syntax error. So I realize I did not call my next callback. And I need to close my listener function for the onRequest. And now we can see that we didn't install Hoke, so we need to go back to, and here's, I just wanted to jump over to the Hoke reference so you can see what we're talking about here. Hoke has a bench timer that makes it, that's really good for displaying human readable timestamps and creating benchmarks like what we're doing. So jumping back over to command line, I'm going to go ahead and install Hoke. And this is something that I'm going to use is needed as part of the plugin, not just for development. So I'm going to do a npm install -- save Hoke. I'm going to go ahead and stop and restart Mocha. Sometimes it gets stuck there. So at this point, we're ready to continue with our implementation of the plugin, and we've registered our the listening to on the request, and now we needed to listen to the response part of the request cycle, and then we will basically calculate the elapsed time, or call actually just call bench elapsed to calculate the time for us, and then we'll be able to set that on a property that we can log. Jumping over to request, the request lifecycle again, we can look at the details for our response event, and we can see that it's called response. So for the response event, it receives a function that receives a request property. And so we're going to log, we're going to fire a log event with a tag of elapsed. We can give it an array of tags, and one of the tags we're going to give it is elapsed. And then for the data, we can pass an object, and we'll go ahead and give it a millisecond MSEC property. And to calculate our elapsed time, we can use the request plugins.elapsed property that we said earlier. So we basically refer to that elapsed object, and we had a property in there called bench, and that was that hook bench. And if you call the property the method elapsed on that, it will calculate the elapsed time in milliseconds. So we can basically set that data up and call that on every request response. And now we see our tests have passed. In our next CodeWins tutorial, we will iterate on this plugin, adding more metadata to our elapsed time log events, so it will provide more value to the consumer. I will do this in a quick, iterative process by adding a test and then implementing that feature until everything is done. Thanks for joining me. Until next time, this is Jeff Barczewski with CodeWins.